How's it going, everybody? This is Newbie Cyphers here, and I am back with another review, much to my dislike. Now, I was really questioning on whether or not to do this review or not, because after the last one I did, it didn't feel like it was needed, or it didn't feel like it needed to be touched upon. But if you guys don't know, I did a review for the game Kingdom Hearts 3, and I expressed my absolute dislike towards it and the problems that I had with it. But we now have the DLC for Kingdom Hearts 3, which is Kingdom Hearts 3 Remind, is now out, and just like the Kingdom Hearts 3 game, there are some problems with the DLC. And I'm going to be touching upon that. Now, one of the things I need to talk about is the extra scenes that were in the game. Or, I mean, I'm sorry, the DLC. Also, I'm just going to throw this out there. And, well, I need to tell you guys this, but there's going to be some spoilers for the DLC. So if you guys have not purchased the DLC yet, or if you have and you haven't gotten that far, then please don't watch this video if you don't want to be spoiled. So I've done my part by warning you, so we're going to get right into the review. Now, my main problem with it are as I stated, the extra scenes in the game. I mean, I'm sorry, the DLC. My problems with the DLC are the extra scenes. Scenes that should have been put into the actual game. And I don't know if I stated this in my previous review, but it felt like when I was watching the game and the DLC, it felt like that this game was very rushed. And that's what a lot of people said about the final battle when it came to the game. It was very rushed. There were certain scenes missing, and apparently those certain scenes have been added into the DLC, which I don't see why that should have even happened. But the way I see it, it felt like Tetsuya Nomura was rushed into putting this game out for the fans, because he knows we've been waiting, he knows you guys have been waiting a long time for this game. So it felt like he was rushed into finally getting this game out for players and fans to finally get their hands on and experience it. And it felt as though he didn't have time to add in those extra scenes that would have explained a lot of shit that didn't exactly work for the game. So it felt like he just had to accept with what he had and just be done with it. That's how I see it, in my opinion. And there's a certain topic on the DLC that I want to get into, but I'm going to save that for later. And the one thing I do like about it is, I was talking with a friend of mine today. His name is Wyatt. We were basically talking about, I asked him how he enjoyed the DLC, and he said the only thing he liked about it was the fact that you can play as Kairi, finally, and the data battles against the Organization 13, or apparently the True Organization. Now, you guys already know I have a big problem with this so-called quote-unquote True Organization 13, because it's pretty much the same goddamn people we fought in the last games. But that's the only thing he said that he liked about it, was finally playing as Kairi and the data battles, which I completely understand. But the data battles, to me, it doesn't feel any different from Kingdom Hearts 2, because we're still fighting against the same organization members, other than Vanitas and the Riku replica, and then there's Ansem, and probably a whole other characters that I probably either forgotten or just don't care to list. And as for Kairi being playable, that should have been in the Kingdom Hearts 3 game itself. I don't know why that was in the DLC. And, I mean, there's a lot of problems with this DLC. Problems that I probably either don't remember, or it'll probably just piss me off even more if I address it. But yeah, apparently you get to play as Riku, Aqua, Roxas, and Kairi. Those are the only playable characters. And there's a final battle again with you pretty much control all the Guardians of Light, and you have to fight against these Xehanort copies, I think they're called, where you're in this, I don't know where it is these guys are, but apparently Riku, Aqua, Terra, Ventus, Lee, Roxas, Xion, Mickey, they're all in some sort of realm, I would say, and they have to fight against these Xehanort copies. So that's literally the only time you get to play as all the characters, or all the major characters in this DLC. Other than that, it wasn't surprising. It wasn't great. Other than that, it's like I said, this DLC really did not need to happen. Well, I mean, it was nice because I think this is the first time ever that this series or this franchise has even gotten a DLC. I'm pretty sure the only time it has. And the DLC itself wasn't even all that good. Like, I've watched the cutscenes. I've watched every single scene that should have happened in the previous game, and nothing surprised me. Now, as I stated before, I am not a Kingdom Hearts fan. I used to be back when I started playing Kingdom Hearts 1, 2. I would have to say those were my only favorite games. Chain of Memories, 358 Days Over 2, Coded, Dream Drop Distance. Those are fine, but they weren't a standout game. They weren't a standout for me in the entire series. Kingdom Hearts 3 is the death of a franchise. A franchise that could have been good, but it took a serious turn for the worst. Now I want to get into a scene that I felt really needs to be discussed, which is the secret episode. Now I'm going to say this again. There's a serious spoiler for the secret episode. If you have not played the DLC, or haven't even watched the cutscenes for that matter, please do not continue watching this video if you don't want to find out what happens. With that being said, we're moving on. In the secret episode, Sora returns to the final world, except for some reason it's nighttime instead of daytime. Now, I don't know what the rules are for it, if the days cycle through day and night, if that's even supposed to happen. But apparently the last scene that we saw in the DLC trailer for Kingdom Hearts 3 Remind happens in the secret episode. Sora finally comes face to face with Yozora, who's supposed to be this main protagonist from this fictional game called Verum Rex, which you saw in the Toy Box world, which is Toy Story. So apparently there's a lot more questions that did not need to be in there. Apparently, Sora comes into contact with Yozora. Now, it's no surprise that Sora knows, it's no surprise that Sora knows what Yozora looks like, because he's already seen him in a cutout promotional picture back in the Toy Box. So it's no surprise that Sora knows what Yozora looks like. So it makes sense why he would recognize him right off the bat. Now, Yozora, on the other hand, this is where the questions start rolling in. Because apparently, Yozora has heard of Sora, but has never really... the secret episode is the first time that they ever meet. And apparently he starts asking questions like, how did he recognize him as Yozora, and why he's using Sora's name. Now, I've already watched a lot of theory videos based on this. Some people say that there's another character connected to Yozora who has the same name as Sora. Or, well, that's pretty much what all the theories are talking about. That there's another Sora out there that Yozora is mistaken for. And apparently Yuzora wandered into this Shibuya by accident, and he had to go through some trials, and he was told by somebody that he had to save Sora. Now, a lot of people are saying that it's not the Sora from Kingdom Hearts. The Sora that he is supposed to save is most likely the Sora from Yuzora's universe, or his world. So, there seems to be some sort of misunderstanding there. Now, the secret episode is technically a boss battle. Once you're done talking with Yuzora, he summons his weapons, and then you and him are transported to Shibuya, the Shibuya that we saw in the Yuzora secret final secret episode, whatever you want to call it. They end up in the Shibuya on top of the 104 building. And on top of that, the boss battle has two different endings. There's a good and a bad ending. And I'm going to touch on that. The good ending, well, no. I'm sorry. We're going to start with the bad ending. The bad ending was actually interesting for me. The bad ending is if you lose to Yuzora, if you fail to beat him, Sora becomes crystallized in this statue, kind of like how they did in Final Fantasy 13. Sora becomes crystallized, and Yuzora walks up to him and he says, "I will save you." Now, a lot of people are still saying he's not saying he'll save Sora from Kingdom Hearts. He's possibly touching upon a different Sora that he knows of. And honestly, that was out of everything in the DLC, that was probably the one thing that actually put a smile on my face. I sound like a serious asshole for saying that, but yeah, Sora being crystallized and possibly dying was probably the best thing that happened. Or the one thing that I found quite entertaining, because you guys know me, I didn't like Sora in Kingdom Hearts 3. I didn't like his character whatsoever. Kingdom Hearts 1, 2, nothing to say about that. It was fine, because he's supposed to be this cheery character, but in Kingdom Hearts 3 they took it up a notch to the point where it's kind of annoying, like extremely annoying for me. So seeing how he ends up in the bad ending, that actually put a smile on my face. I'm not even gonna lie. Now, the good ending for the secret episode is when you actually beat Yuzora. No duh. Yuzora, he looks at his hand and then he starts to fade away. And he says, "I guess my powers aren't needed yet." Now, we still have no idea what that means. So, for the next Kingdom Hearts game, that's probably going to be explained. I seriously doubt it, though. So, apparently, after Yuzora fades away, Sora returns to the final world. And after that, we really don't know what happens to him. I'm guessing he's stuck there, most likely. But then we see that Yuzora is waking up in a car. Now, this is very important, because this scene is very reminiscent to the Final Fantasy Versus 13 trailer that we got a long time ago. This was something that Nomura wanted to work on, but apparently he was removed from the project, so a lot of people, including a YouTuber named HMK, is calling it Nomura's Revenge. So basically, Nomura is using Final Fantasy Versus 13 into Kingdom Hearts 3. He wants to continue what he had planned, and since he couldn't do that with Final Fantasy 15 after what we got, he decided to move this idea over to Kingdom Hearts, which I guess you could say makes sense, because this seemed like something he really wanted to work on, so why not do it? Why not take those ideas and add them into Kingdom Hearts? That makes sense. Doesn't mean it's going to make the franchise any good. But back on topic, Yuzora finally wakes up in his car, and you hear someone calling out to him, using the word commander. So it seems like Yuzora is part of a high authority, I guess you could say. Now this is where people start making a lot of connections, because they're saying that, we finally get the reveal of where Luxord is from, who is, I believe he's rank 10 in the organization, or in the previous organization before Kingdom Hearts 3. Apparently, Luxord comes from Yuzora's world. That's what everybody's theorizing. Because apparently the one who's speaking to Yuzora in the car is Luxord. Now, if you listen carefully, the voice is very similar. Now, it could be Luxord, then again, it couldn't be. Like I said, we'll have to wait for the next game to be sure. And then after the scene, you hear both Yuzora and Sora stating the lines that we heard in the first Kingdom Hearts game, which is, I've been having these weird thoughts lately, like, is any of this for real or not? You hear both Yuzora and Sora saying that exact line at the same time. But depending on the ending you get, Sora will say, none of this makes sense to me. That's in the good ending. In the bad ending, Yuzora is the one who says that line. Now, there was a YouTuber I was watching, I'm not sure what his name was, but he basically said that Nomura wouldn't give us these two endings if they weren't going to play a serious part in the next game. Now, I stand behind that statement. I'm pretty sure both endings are going to have something to do with the next game, which we'll probably have to wait for, because apparently Nomura's working on something called Project Xehanort. There's no info on what exactly that is or what it's going to be about. But I'm pretty sure after that's done, then we'll probably get the next Kingdom Hearts game. I'm sorry, you guys will get the next Kingdom Hearts game. And other than that, that's pretty much my only problem. Yeah, that's pretty much the only problem I had with the DLC, is that there are some scenes that they added that should have been in the original game itself. And Kairi being playable, that should have been in the original game. And Roxas, Riku, Aqua being playable characters, you could already do that in the original game, except for Roxas. He's not a playable character. So him being playable in the DLC, that's fine. Because you guys know, I love Roxas. He's one of my favorite characters in the game, other than Vanitas. So him being playable in the DLC, that's fine with me. But it doesn't make sense why Riku and Aqua would be playable if they could be playable in the original game. Now, you guys probably might not agree with why I dislike this game, or why I dislike the DLC either. But then again, these are just my opinions. This is what I find wrong with it. You guys have your own opinions, so if you guys have something you wish to say about it, then post it in the comment section below. I would like to hear what you guys thought about the DLC, or what you thought about the game in general. But as I stated, this is just my opinion. This is what I had to get off my chest. I really didn't want to do this, but after watching the DLC, I felt like there was, like I said, I felt like there were some things that really needed to be touched upon, things that needed to be discussed. So, there it is. So that is my review for the, wait. There was one other thing. I like the fact that the Oblivion and the Oathkeeper are back, because I realized when watching Kingdom Hearts 3, those Keyblades were nowhere to be found, and those are pretty iconic in the series. So I'm glad Nomura brought that back for a DLC. That was fine with me. And, the whole game being critical, that I know that's not part of the DLC, but the whole Kingdom Hearts, the whole critical difficulty, I really didn't see any need for it, other than the fact that some players like a challenge and they like for things to be extremely hard. So, I guess that's fine, but to me, I really didn't see any need for it, because, that's just me. There was a few other things with the DLC that I didn't really I did have a problem with, but I probably just can't remember it right now. But Roxas being a playable character, the Oathkeeper and Oblivion being on the DLC, those are fine. Riku and Aqua being playable, there was no reason for that because they're already playable in the original game. Kairi being playable, that should have been in the original game. And all the original scenes that in, or the additional scenes we got in the DLC, that also should have been in the original game. But that's just my opinion. That's what I had to say. If you guys have something you want to say about it, or if there's something that you don't agree with what I discussed, then again, please mention in the comment section below. I would love to hear what you guys think or what you guys have to say. With that being said, I'm Newbie Cypherus, and I'll see you guys later.